Greetings, heroes and force users of all ages, and welcome back to Inside the Tauntaun, a podcast in the multiverse of fandom. I would say as always, but that doesn't seem appropriate at this moment. But you might remember my name is Dino Nicandros.
Who is that man? How did you get into the Zoom?
After my long journey through the wilderness, I feel like a Harfoot. I'm happy to be back with my good friends.
Very hairy.
Thank you, Daniel. I'm happy to be back with my great friends Alyssa Simmons.
Hello.
And Daniel Dawson.
Hello there.
And today we are talking episode 3 of The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, Adar. And this was directed by Wayne Yip and written by Jason Cahill and Justin Doble. By God, we're Lord of the Rings fans.
I don't know who you are or where you came from.
I am Iron.
I thought they smelled bad. On the outside.
It smells like a new car in here.
Inside the Tauntaun, this is our opening song. Alyssa, Daniel, Dino, talking nerd stuff, come along. Inside the Tauntaun podcast, please like and subscribe.
Welcome back for real this time, Dina.
Man. Have Wi-Fi that works.
Yeah, you had quite the journey. The journey this summer.
It's been a long 5 months.
I can't wait to see it and read it in your memoir. No, I'm not going to read it, but I can't wait to listen to
I'll read
your
it. I'll read it.
memoirs.
Yeah, right.
You can read
I'll
it
read
to
it too.
me. Yeah, thank
Right.
you. Oh my God.
Well, yes, it is wonderful to be back. We have so much going on.
We have so much going on.
Yeah.
I've been struggling to keep up, but I think I'm caught up on all fronts.
Oh, really?
Sweet.
I think I'm good.
Do you want us to give us your opinion on pretty much everything that we've done so far? Just like really
No,
fast?
I don't, honestly.
Well, actually, though, I am very curious. Since we're on the subject of Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power. What was your opinion of the first 2 episodes, at least?
Yeah, I'll give you my general impression of the show.
Give us the generals.
This is all stuff we kind of briefly touched on in our group text, and you and Daniel, Alyssa, really got into on the last episode.
Oh my God, you listened?
Yes.
Aww.
Of course I did.
That was a long one too. It's like
an hour 49.
Yeah, very long one.
No, it was fantastic, and you really covered a lot of my sentiments. It looks exactly like the money that was spent on it. Like like you can tell where the dollars went, and they were well spent.
Yeah.
I think it is such
it would be a
wonderful,
fun, honestly, just the a special features type of thing where they literally just showed dollar signs on
right.
on all the
price
objects.
tags for each effect.
Yeah. I would love that.
How many hours this one took.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it is a really terrific blend of ripping imagery directly from Tolkien.
Mm-hmm.
And then taking imagery from Peter Jackson's movies and marrying them together. Like Middle Earth feels familiar, but also very, very new.
Fresh.
And the same goes for the music. Howard Shore talks about how he wrote the theme, but Bear McCreary has written a terrific score for this that sounds like Howard Shore did it.
Totally.
And what's even more impressive is that they're kind of having to navigate the landscape both visually and musically of not really being able to reuse anything from Jackson's movies.
Right.
But the fact that they've been able to make us feel like one leads into the other is very, very impressive.
There's been more than nods and winks, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this third episode in particular feels so...
very connected.
Yeah, exactly. It just it just totally clicked. Like when we get into Numenor for the first time, you're just like, ooh.
Even when you...
that's it.
There's even camera angles, I feel. I know that sounds silly, but like camera angles of certain characters, that are very, very reminiscent of the
that's
Lord of the
all.
Rings films. Like
that is all on purpose.
Yeah, like they do some zooms ins of like Galadriel's eyes,
Yes.
that are like so reminiscent of
Kate Blanchett.
Totally.
Yeah.
They're like, look how much she looks like Kate Blanchett. It's like
well, and then so not only having to juggle the fact you can't really reuse a ton of stuff that they used in Jackson's movies, the fact that they don't have the rights to the Silmarillion,
right,
and they're having to dance around it, using the appendices,
yes.
and I think all in all,
there's a fair amount of stuff from the Silmarillion that are also in the appendices.
Yes,
too,
it's just not nearly as
detailed,
and if you're a really hardcore Tolkien scholar, I'm sure you could find things to nitpick, but being able to take
and they are
they are but I think all in all, being able to kind of thread the needle and still tell a complete story while not having access to the full story is pretty commendable.
Yeah, and I mean, you listened to our last episode. Now you probably heard Alyssa's Forbes friend.
Yeah, my good Forbes friend.
Her good Forbes friend that said that it's like to approach this like it's a really expensive, like super duper expensive,
the
fan
most
fiction.
Expensive
the
fan
most
fiction ever.
Yes.
Ever.
Which I that is a very safe and fun way to approach this, because you take a lot of weight off of it.
Then you won't get huffy about timeline liberties or
new characters,
adding new characters.
Yeah. And I mean, and so far, even in that, because I mean, I don't really consider myself a Lord of the Rings scholar, but I am a quite the heavy. I'm very fat. No, I'm quite the heavy Tolkien fan. I'm not like a gatekeeper either, but I come at it with a critical eye and be like, wait a second, let me look at my Tolkien encyclopedia. That doesn't sound right. But I'm not like that. I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see why they did that. That's cool. Like, so far I haven't like been like, they just did that because, like rolling my eyes, it hasn't been like that yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's clear that they're more. I think they are more interested in keeping visual consistency with Jackson's movies than they are creating something entirely new. And I actually think that is the route you want to go.
Yeah, totally.
If you're gonna do 5 episodes or 5 seasons or however many they have planned for this of television, then I think the audience you're catering to are the people who grew up with the movies.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
And again, Tolkien gatekeepers are not going to be pleased by that, but because they weren't pleased with the 3 movies either.
Exactly. Yeah.
And nothing said about The Hobbit, which we won't talk about.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
But
even though there were redeemable, cool things in The Hobbit for sure.
And we don't need to go the rabbit hole of the studio involvement, kind of hamstringing Peter Jackson and all that. But
too many fingers in the pie there.
Right, and I have to say, I think that might have been my chief concern with Amazon getting its hands on this property, having too many cooks in the kitchen. And it's early days, but
we still are very
3 episodes in. I'm like, there seems to be unified vision in the writers' room, unified vision from your showrunners, and
because
it just looks like $1 million.
All these different locations and stuff, you'll have like your first director, your second director, your third director, doing all these different things, and you might end up with like, different scenes feeling like completely different films, but they all feel super connected so far.
Yeah,
which is super great. Yeah,
it does. Lucky for us, and it looks like $1 million. And
so you'd say generally you liked it.
Generally, I liked it.
Good. Excellent. What about this episode in particular?
Well, we said it in our one of you said it in our group text. Violent.
Yeah. So violent. Oh my gosh.
Surprisingly,
it
so.
It was me, because I'm the violent wimp.
Yeah.
Right.
I love it. I love it.
Daniel has been playing very violent video games since he was 2 years old. So he's not
his mind is tainted
in the slightest.
My mind has a taint. You're right.
Yeah, I mean all this stuff. No, it doesn't.
Sure it does.
Maybe yours does actually.
Yeah, you're
to
right.
be honest. All this stuff with the orcs, and then the Halbrand alley fight scene was quite owie.
Yeah, I mean, it was surprisingly so. I like Peter.
And why did they have to do a broken bone again? Two episodes in a row.
They enjoy that sound effect.
I don't want to see it.
Now,
sound designer is very proud of themselves.
I am not squeamish at all, but like when it comes to broken bones, that's where I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say though, like if you go back to like Peter Jackson's films, they're quite violent too. The way he got around
they definitely are.
Yeah, the way he got around it was that most of the violence like was put upon like the orcs.
Right.
Yes, I was going to say it's always a little bit easier for me and probably most people to handle when it is fantastical creatures.
Yeah, you see like
and it's
black
not so much
blood
like,
as opposed to red.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel quite as
it doesn't
bad.
feel quite as like real as human on human violence.
Peter Jackson, is a like self-admitted like horror like lover. And like was very like wanted to be like gore forward, but
Goreward.
So he goreward if you will,
God.
Sure.
No.
So he kind of got his way in certain ways. But I just assumed because we were. What is the actual rating on this show? I don't remember. I thought it was something like.
That's a good question.
Isn't it like? Is it PG-13
I don't remember. Let's see.
Or it might even be like.
Yes.
It is.
It is. It is.
I don't see any rating on here.
Oh, it is.
It is.
It is.
Yeah, I don't.
Where is
I don't know, but
it's NC-17.
I'll Google while you're talking.
We're gonna see Galadriel's tits at some point for sure, guaranteed. Galadriel's tits.
It's TV 14.
Yeah.
Oh,
that
okay.
sounds
Yeah,
about right.
that checks out. That checks out. And so far, that still checks out.
Although, what's funny is like because I've been catching up on everything all at once.
Yeah.
So I watched this one back to back with House of the Dragon.
Oh, awesome!
And
which
is so much fun. Like, what a fall we're gonna have. Like, I'm just nerding out, but just seeing how violent this episode was, and then comparing it to House of Dragon, I was like, oh, this is a G-rated show.
This is fine.
So that's where they could have gone.
Yes.
Exhibit A of why I could never watch any Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
property.
there's HBO bringing us right back into the filth.
Yeah, we love it.
We do. We love it. We do love it.
But yeah, so this episode was it definitely had all the things. We had lore, we had lore dumps, we had violence, we had
I think this episode was the second time I've kind of made kind of an audible noise while watching. The first one was actually the prologue of episode 1 and seeing the War of the Wrath.
Woohoo!
And that just
stunning.
Friggin' cool.
Very, very nice.
And this time it was when they were sailing into Numenor. And
Whoa.
one it being exactly as I pictured it and very derivative from a lot of sketches that have been done over the years.
Mm-hmm.
But we were talking about the close attachment to Peter Jackson's kind of take on the Lord of the Rings imagery, and that looks like something ripped right out of Minas Tirith.
Truthfully, he ripped those straight from the pages too.
No, of course. I'm just saying, just as it was seen, as we saw it, it looks. The visual similarities are.
I'm forgetting his name right now. Like the classic Lord of the Rings.
Oh, the artist.
Yeah.
Let me remind myself.
Remind me. Just like I'm looking in my books right now. But this one I don't think is actually.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to remember his name.
Darn it anyways. He's a really great guy. and he's very, very talented. But yeah, I think that it's good that they're kind of pulling from the same artist because it does have that connective tissue that we all like. Yeah, right. For instance, like in Numenor, you can see like a lot of the structures there. It just helps us like with our memories of what Minas Tirith looks like, and you're like, oh, you can see how
the Gondorians are.
Yeah.
It's John Howe. John Howe is the visual artist.
Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The visual artist John Howe.
Well, even the giant statues. Yeah, the Argonath from the Fellowship of the Ring that we see in Fellowship of the Ring.
Yes, very much.
You see something the architecture being very similar to that. I mean, it's so cool.
Definitely.
And I cannot believe it's a TV show. I was like, I needed to see this episode in a theater, in an IMAX screen.
I mean, how much have we said recently? So much of this new streaming property we wish we could see, but this one, of all of them that have come out in the last couple of years,
truly,
they've got to do some.
I don't know.
Did they? I
don't know how they would.
Did somehow they do a theater thing for? I thought they did, right?
They did very limited for the first 2 episodes.
They did, okay.
They had a couple limited screenings.
I really missed out, man.
I was in no place to go see that.
In that room. Damn.
Yeah. But that was super cool.
Maybe, if they did it once and it was like successful, maybe
they'll do some form of event where they charge people a couple $100. And
if people are willing to give money, they'll take it. God willing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So generals.
So
that was generals.
Daniel, what were your generals on this episode?
Well, I kind of more or less repeating Dino's thoughts. Like I seeing Numenor, I think, was probably the biggest takeaway for me, because after reading the Silmarillion and just envisioning it in my head, and it does. I think it was. I don't know. I guess my imagination just isn't as maybe it's just not as great. But this depiction of it is better than I imagined it, and it's like just so beautiful and steeped with lore, which is so cool. And that's the thing that really gets my nerd juices flowing. Seeing, the giant statue of, oh God, what's his name? Oh, jeez. It's Elrond's father. I know that.
Oh, yeah.
Arendelle, is that right? No?
Elendil.
No, Elendil. That's Elendil is.
Oh no, he's Aragorn's ancestor. No,
I think it's
Elrond's.
Elrond's father?
Elrond's father is Arendelle.
See?
Right,
oh my God,
right,
I'm not crazy,
right. Right.
Yeah, so, and he, so Elrond's twin brother, Elros,
yes,
founded Numenor. He chose to be a man, which is interesting.
Idiot.
Yeah, there's lots of really great this is what gets me excited is that there's like seeing these things, these ancient things, at least for me as a nerd. I know, like, if I were seeing this and not having read the books first, I'd be like, whoa, what is that? And it would encourage me to pick up a book and being like, okay, I gotta read what the hell, or even if it is just like the encyclopedia and just like
what is that? Who is that? What is that name?
Yeah, because really, this is honestly the Tolkien Encyclopedia is like a choose your own adventure. Tolkien choose your own adventure because it's a deep rabbit hole, because you will look up, okay, who the hell is Arendelle? And then you go Arendelle, and he's like the father of Elrond and Elros, and then you start looking up all these other names. You're like, wait, what the hell? And then you like, oh my God! Yeah. Suddenly you've read all of the Silmarillion. Like, how did this happen?
And retained about 20% of
it. Yeah, right.
If your first read through was anything like mine,
Daniel and I talked about that last week. I was not. The few times that I've attempted have not ever been in the right headspace to basically be reading names and locations for 7,000 hours.
Yeah, it really does, it does require a bit of research. Like, as you're reading it, I think that when you can come across a name, you're like, and then
Well, it just sort of like it to me, having grown up in a very religious household,
right?
It for me immediately feels like Old Testament, where you're
Yes.
just literally reading names and
who they begot
places
or beget.
and who exactly who beget who for like
so many begets
for so many
Maurice the Baguettes.
bum bum.
There's a
Yeah,
musical
so
reference.
maybe someday it will happen for me.
This time. Yeah. So generally, it was pretty dope. But that was like, I think my
those were your main
the
takeaways.
super duper coolest takeaway was Numenor and seeing the and also just I think it got me excited just because like knowing the lore and kind of like I think I'm starting to see like where they're going to place the timeline, I think, and like
I mean, based on the appendices, because I'm like, but like we said last week, they are smushing time together. They have to.
Right. There's way too much.
Yeah.
Yep.
And smushing time together and also kind of taking some, timeline liberties there. So it's looking like we're in Second Age between the years of 40 and 445. Right now.
Generally speaking,
based on the appendices, 442. I'm sorry.
Thank
you. 40 and 442. Yeah, which is when technically, like Sauron begins to stir in Middle Earth again. So
yep,
he keeps stirring.
He's
a stirring. He is.
Ooh. Adar.
Adar.
Are you Adar? Or are you a door? Well, now what? Well, what about you, Alyssa? Did you? You seem to enjoy it as well.
I think you two pretty much covered it. It was beautiful. I gasped when we entered Numenor for the first time. Those. I mean, just the sails on those ships.
So
I was like, what? It reminded me so much of this. That's a weird memory of this director I had in college who was really obsessed with like flowy clothing.
Okay.
And like flowy draperies and stuff. So like in like certain like songs and stuff, there would be just like, flowy things happening. We would be responsible for this flowing fabric behind things, and it really just reminded me of that because it really
very, very random.
But it was so pretty. I mean, I was like, I get it. Like,
I'm pretty sure that's what the director's intended.
Oh, he was like, that guy that loves the flowy.
Oh my God, what if he was a production person on the show and you just didn't know?
He absolutely isn't.
But
loved it. Thought it was beautiful and had to plug my ears and close my eyes a few times. And yeah, that's that.
That's great.
Should we kind of go through this thing?
We
Daniel,
have a fair amount to cover.
Ready to drive this ship?
Well, good luck to us all. Yes, okay. I'll drive the ship, and feel free to interrupt if you want to interject your feelings and thoughts, because I know I would.
All right.
We start off the episode confirming that Arondir was indeed taken by orcs. And he and a few of his fellow elves are being used for slave labor to dig tunnels and trenches. What a bummer for them. The orcs have covered themselves because of their sensitivity to sunlight. Also, love those details of like all the random things that they've collected and stolen from their captives. It's so cool. And they're basically turning the Southlands into what we all know and love. The happy, friendly, lush, super fun, but slightly spooky Airbnb, Mordor.
I want my money back.
2 stars on Yelp. We also start hearing whispers of this orc leader named Adar. Who could that be? Woo, woo! And then we're back on the ship with this episode jumps around quite a lot. We're back on the ship with Galadriel and Halbrand. And we find that we have been picked up and rescued by none other than Isildur's zaddy, Elendil. Oh, bitch. Yes, this is the same Isildur that eventually will grow up to take his father's sword and slice the One Ring from Sauron's hand and put an end to his evil for a little while. He becomes corrupted by the ring and destroys, doesn't destroy it and keeps it for himself and eventually is killed. Very sad. Galadriel is hella suspicious of everything because even though she's been saved, it feels like she's being held captive. Elendil has her dagger and she's not pleased about it. Elendil is not the king yet. These are informations because I was thinking at the time, I was like, wait, is he he's not the leader now. Turns out they're being taken to Numenor, the giant island nation that the Valar gifted to the men who fought against Morgoth. So these are the quote end quote good men.
Yes.
But
well, as the Queen Regent says later to Galadriel, we weren't given these lands.
Oh, you weren't?
No, because our people died for the cause, and
I like that they are. I mean, it's an interesting conversation because, like, in the Silmarillion, they do talk about like, but I think we're gonna get more. I feel like we're gonna get more of the men's opinion of why they're so upset with the elves, and they're gonna like at least help us get to. I mean, I still don't like agree with the way that they're going about it, but I understand where they're coming from. But yeah, I think a lot of it stemmed from not necessarily from that, but of their jealousy of not being able to go to Valinor. The Valar is just like, no, can't come. Sorry, you're mortal, so you can have Numenor, and that's it. Where was I?
Sorry.
Oh yes,
Galadriel's super suspicious.
She's hella suspicious. Yeah, and I just wrote down. Can we talk about how much my nerd nipples hurt watching this? Numenor looks so cool. Yeah, I'm obsessed. I'm just obsessed. Something of note. I just wrote down basically what we talked about before about like the giant statue of Arendelle, and his sons Elrond and Elrond's twin brother Elros, who chose a mortal man life and became the first king of Numenor. Arendelle fought against Morgoth's minions, riding in his ship in the sky. And actually eventually becomes a star, I think. That's honestly, Elros and the good men follow that star that Arendelle becomes, and that's how they originally find the island of Numenor.
Yeah, which is interesting that you're talking about a person becoming a star, because we have a line later in this episode that Sadik, the leader of the Harfoots, says about, yes, I've known a person to become a star, but not the other way around.
Yeah, we got stars becoming men. Very interesting. And yeah, which I think that like I think some Tolkien fans, the gatekeepers, are like, when they heard about this like Comet Man, they're like, that wasn't in the books. That makes no sense. But like when you really think about it, like, when a person that like literally becomes a star, like what's so crazy about it happening the other way around? It's like literally.
Oh, I accept it. I accept it that way, but I don't accept it the other way.
Not the other way. No, I refuse. People are dumb. So let's see here. Oh yeah, and then we also hear that name again, Arendelle. And this is interesting because Galadriel is one of our, probably the most main character in the story so far. She gifts the light of Arendelle to Frodo. When all other lights go out.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so something also to note about these men. Oh, they were also gifted with a longer lifespan than that of their normal Middle-earthian men. Still mortal, but they live hella longer. Yeah, and so, Isildur, and then eventually Aragorn, they will live much longer than their other male counterparts.
Right.
Yep.
When we're starting to see in Numenor that there are two distinct groups of people. The ones that are still friendly with the Valar and the elves, they're called the Faithful. I don't think that they've really actually said that in the show so far, but just from my memory. And the ones that have turned their back on them that are called the King's Men. It turns out that a lot of the men are jealous little bitches. Got really miffed that the Valar wouldn't allow them to sail into the west to Valinor. Only the immortal elves were allowed, and that made them hella bummed. The ones currently in control of Numenor are on the side that doesn't welcome elves. So Galadriel being there now is a big deal, and she is not greeted with a warm welcome. She is greeted by Miriel, who is the queen currently. Her father is King Palantir. Galadriel wants...
Fascinating.
Yeah, very fascinating, very fascinating. Galadriel wants to go back to Middle-earth because she's got shit to do. But the queen is like, hell no, bitch. The tension is thick. Halbrand effectively cools the waters a bit and asks for more time so they can reconsider giving them passage to Middle-earth. Pharazôn and Miriel talk about Galadriel afterwards, and Miriel seems to think she's no big deal, but Pharazôn is worried that she's gonna start making waves, and I think he's right.
Although I'm not a big fan of this Pharazôn fella.
Yeah.
I got questions.
Pharazôn, I think, is a little racist. And I think that Miriel, I think
a little.
I think that there's definitely, I mean, you know, obviously there's a civil war that's kind of about to happen.
Yes.
You know, there's percolating. But I think that there's also like a Game of Thrones situation that's happening
very
too,
much so,
where people are playing the game, and I think that the Miriel is playing the game very well. I think.
Yep.
Because if memory serves me right, her father, is one of the faithful,
yes.
And that is why he's not like currently like the visible king, like he's just like up at his tower just like chilling, and she's like, I think that was like, and she's like, we don't like the elves, but I think that's just I think it's a front, because it's like her way of keeping the throne in the family and being like, Pharazôn, you don't need to rule, we're good, because like I don't like the elves too, so I don't know, just a thought.
Well, yeah, because she could have, like, you know, as the regent queen, like, she could have commanded, like, Galadriel be killed.
Totally. Super easily. Yeah.
It's been like, sorry, you can't be here.
Or just cast out, you know what I mean?
Or like, banished away, literally put in prison right off the bat.
Yeah,
that didn't happen. So
yeah, totally. So something's happening. Pharazôn and Miriel also talk about Elendil and about what his deal is. And then we cut to his son Isildur. Our very first look at our fated king, who is
that training ship sequence really stressed me out.
yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
I didn't care for that.
Yeah,
there was a special kind of anxiety that happened during that.
There's something about ships that are like out of control. It's like
and the guy, like his friend, getting like flung off, and then they had to rope him back in. I was like, I don't like this.
It doesn't look fun, and they all love it. They love it.
They do.
So yeah,
what's their line? They say the sea is always right.
The sea is always right. And so it's basically
that made me giggle.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Like the customer is always right. I was like, it's not super like it's fine.
I noted kind of like the horrible foreboding.
I don't remember that in the books. I don't think that's a book thing. The sea is always right. I feel like Tolkien would have written something a little more poetic than that, but I could be wrong.
the horrible foreboding of something like that when you realize the eventual fate of Numenor.
Yeah.
It's like
the sea is always right, and
indeed,
it is, and it will take you.
Yeah, Tolkien would have written something like, the
sea always is.
Different franchise.
So Tolkien is Yoda.
Yeah.
It would have been something very
the crossover event.
Poetic and
I mean, that's why they're making people into stars and stars into people. That's gonna bring us into space. So yeah, Isildur is just a wee little cadet on the ship, literally learning the ropes. And we hear a lady whispering his name, and Isildur
off the shores, off the west,
distracted by it. And then his friend calls out to him, and I'm curious if you guys got this vibe too, because I mean, I think that it was very purposeful, but like they put kind of like a weird echo. I mean, I know that it's because he was like sort of in his mind and distracted about whatever this whisper was. So like when his friend's voice comes back in, it's also a little echoey, but it feels like, and I'm probably just biased because I quote that line all the time. The cast it into the fire. Isildur! It literally sounded just like that to me.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. I'm not crazy.
A little bit, yes.
Okay, great. But yeah, they land their ship on land and their friends have a cute little convo and they do some guy stuff. I guess, guys just can't talk. They have to like wrestle while they talk,
I guess so.
That's how I communicate.
It was very, very bro-y.
I know. I always find that stuff so funny. I'm just like, but why though? Just why? Just stand there and talk. I don't know.
Yeah, meet us at the cantina. Like
punch, throw you on the ground. I it's like, me and my gay friends, we always tap dance when we talk. It's
obviously and lisp.
Obviously.
Lisp while you tap dance.
So lisp while you work. But yeah, so we then meet Arian. I can't pronounce her name yet. But this is Isildur's sister.
The sister?
Yes.
Yeah.
Non-canon alert. She does not exist.
She's new.
Beep boop. But yeah, very excited to see why they thought it was important to add her, because I'm sure there's a reason, God willing. We're then back with Elendil and Muriel, and she's grinding on his name and its meaning, because it means one who loves the stars, but it also means elf friend, which here in Numenor is a dirty word. Elendil is doing a great job walking the political tightrope and not ruffling any feathers. Muriel gives Elendil a job and asks him to keep an eye on Galadriel and make sure that she doesn't do any funny business. Yeah, and all the while, I think Muriel again is also like playing the game very well too here. Like,
yes.
I think that she's prodding him, like, be like, are you friends? Oh, you were friends? Okay, me too. But like they're both still playing the game really well, and yeah, so then we're back in the orc pit. We're jumping around crazy. The elves are conspiring on how to successfully escape and also wondering why they're making them do what they're doing. It turns out they're searching for something. And I'm thinking, I can't stop thinking about the broken sword, assumedly that's it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that they're gonna be like, nah, it's this other random thing that we haven't talked about
yet.
that
would track, right?
Yeah, because it's there, and the orc was in their house, like rummaging around.
That was what, Narsil, right?
No, I don't.
Am I thinking of no?
You're thinking of
that was the sword that cut the ring.
Yeah, which is actually Isildur's. It's Elendil, Isildur's dad's.
Yes.
But we haven't seen that sword yet. I don't know if it's. I'm not sure if it's been forged yet? ?
No, maybe it hasn't been. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, the blade that cut the ring.
Right.
But yes, it is a sword. I'm not sure. I honestly don't know if Tolkien really ever really talked about Sauron's sword being super special. So this might be another thing that's like, oh, let's just make the sword special because that gives us a reason to bring Boopity Boop over here, and I'm cool with it. It seems
honestly, and like the people that are huffy, I want to remind you that in the appendices, like in the year breakdowns, there's literally nothing from year 40 to year 442. So just a reminder that's like an enormous chunk of time where Tolkien didn't write anything that happened.
Yeah, and again, this nobody's saying that this is now like what Tolkien intended, or or this is now going forward what all Tolkien things will reference this and say that this is exactly what happened. It's not what anybody's saying. Again, just a really cool fan fiction. And expensive. But yeah, so far I'm super on board. Deep boop bap boop beep. They also discuss this Adar character, and that it's weird that they use an Elvish word for father to describe their leader. I mean, this has got to be Sauron, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Unless you're in the camp of thinking Halbrand is, which I don't buy that.
I'm not there either. Yeah,
I don't think so. That seems like it's a bit of a misdirect to me.
That's far out.
Yeah, and I understand. I understand the sentiment. Because I mean, he is. Eventually, Sauron does find himself in Numenor.
Right.
And I think that there's definitely some. And so far we've seen him be very cunning, a skilled fighter, but that doesn't necessarily like make my mind go to there hasn't really been a good enough hints yet. I would feel like we would see him doing some sorcery or something like that, and be like, oh, what the fuck, I not there yet, but I'm thinking Sauron is in the Southlands.
Yeah. Interesting.
If it's not Sauron, I'm completely stumped. I'm like,
yeah, who is that?
Who the hell is Adar?
The orc camp and building these tunnels. One, it is to avoid sunlight.
Right.
But I do wonder if they're digging these tunnels to transport things.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get all sorts of answers on what's going on there. But
I think it's I mean, infrastructure first of all, because they're preparing to eventually build Orthanc. Is that the name of the tower in?
That's at it's Barad-dûr.
You're absolutely right.
Barad-dûr.
Yeah. You were thinking of Isengard.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Similar towers, different.
Yeah, one of two towers. In fact.
Right. Oh, yes, of course.
What?
Oh my God. But yes, they're preparing to build Sauron's his home away from home, and
summer house, if you will.
Little summer house. But yeah, I think they're because it looks like they're not even just tunnels. They're might just be trenches too, which is they're preparing for war. They're preparing for because they're assuming that they're gonna get the armies are gonna start coming in and trying to put a kibosh on all of it, and they're like, let's build some infrastructure, get this ready for our.
Well, and I don't remember who said it, if it was Arondir or the other elf. What's his face?
Oh, the one that's
the watchman guy.
The curly-haired one.
There was the suggestion they were looking for something.
Yes, right.
Yes.
And that's what I was talking about. We were
why are we digging? We must be looking for something. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm thinking it's the sword, and that's probably also why they're, perhaps thinking, oh, maybe it got buried, so let's dig tunnels until we find it. So it's they're almost like they're mining.
Yeah.
Like or excavating.
Right.
Like they're little, Indiana Jones orcs. Looking for their idol. So let's see here. The orcs want to cut down a tree that's in their way, and the elves are trying to convince them to dig around it, and the orcs are not having it. They do the whole bait and switch routine and offer some water, only to immediately slice one of their throats.
That was
what a
tense.
Bummer. Yeah,
you knew it was coming,
I know. They did too, which is so sad.
Jeez.
They're like, oh, I guess this is gonna be it then. And then the elves are like, JK, we'll totes cut that shit down. Sorry about it. At least our Arondir does. And then we're back with Galadriel, who, to no one's surprise, is trying to piece the F out and steal a ship. Elendil gets in her way, and she's obviously pissed. But he cools her down by speaking to her in Quenya. And she's definitely, like, taken off guard, and he knows how to speak her language. He reveals that not everyone in Numenor hates elves, and they still teach their language in the Hall of Lore. Galadriel's elf ears perk up when she hears the Lore Hall, and also absolutely loves horseback riding, which
just lit up.
Could not be more thrilled about the horse.
Yeah, I was like, okay, we get this gorgeous sweeping shot of them riding horseback. I mean, literally, like, gorgeous shots.
And her smiling, which we haven't seen yet.
Very I wrote down very awkward slow motion shots of Galadriel smiling really big because she's barely having a great time.
That was another college theater director fabric moment.
Oh, sure. So, yeah, like I said, I'm sure he's on the production team. He has to be.
Definitely.
That's funny.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's just alarming just because, like, we've never really seen her have that good of a time on the show yet. So it's, like, highly unusual. Like, wait,
right.
It's a very stark
very
difference.
Serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're such a serious lady, and all of a sudden, horses.
Did someone say horse? Did someone say horse?
Oh my god. Yeah, she loves
Hey,
it.
that's perfect for how you introduced the show last week, Daniel.
Horse! Oh my god, it is!
Fellow
Oh my
horses.
god, I knew. Somehow I knew.
He said
did.
fellow horses.
Fellow horses. I knew it. That is hilarious.
It's funny.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess, and I think the other thing too is that, like, it felt a little bit like there wasn't, like, a build up to it, like, where, like, early on we were introduced to her being like, horses, these are the horses that I love, and then, like, it was just all of a sudden
just like,
wow,
whoa,
horses. Did you say ride? Yeah. Oh, Chris, I don't know if necessarily is the horse that she like, but she really loves to ride. Yeah, that was kind of the she's having a great time. Anyways, I digress. We have more important things to talk about.
Let's just keep talking about the horse.
But the horses, though. Then we go to Halbrand, who is attempting to smith something. I guess.
Yeah, he wants to work. He wants to forge iron.
Yeah, and I'm thinking in my head, because I'm, like, really trying to be like, what the hell does he want to smith right now? The only thing I can think of is because of, like, just after this scene, he's like, he goes to get that. He steals the little amulet or the house sigil, whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm,
and I'm thinking maybe he's like, oh, I'll just forge one.
But does he know that he needs that yet?
Assumedly.
I feel like the blacksmith that's working tells him, like, you can't forge iron until you have been given one of the little.
Oh, there you go.
And then he goes and it's like,
he's gonna get it, so then he can forge.
Pals, and then I can steal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There you go. So okay, still a mystery on what he wants to forge then.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then he goes to the Numenorian Red Lobster and he has a seafood meal. He gets accosted by some dudes and being lesser than the Numenorians. So yeah, again, there's this sort of classism going on.
Right.
Yeah. He instead pulls out the charm and buys everybody drinks instead. And instead of getting into a fight. All the while is able to sneak one of those little house sigils away from one of the douchebags. Sadly, he gets caught.
A douchebag with like a Caesar haircut. Like, what was going on with that hair?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
It was a confusing choice. The hair.
With the hair department, you hear that?
So far, that's my only problem with the show.
Yeah, for the next episode, fix it, hair department. You heard me.
I just don't like those short bangs.
It's very weird and spooky. But yeah. So yeah, he gets caught. Mostly sadly for them though, because turns out Halbrand is like the Hulk and is like, you don't want to see me angry. And single-handedly it destroys these dudes in a very surprisingly violent scene. I was like, yes. Okay. Wow. And then he gets arrested. Oh, whoops. And then we go back to Galadriel and Elendil, who are now in the Hall of Lore that he was talking about. Basically doing a Google image search of the Sauron logo.
Logo. Where is this? Where can I find a PNG of Sauron?
Sauron's logo.
The old man, is this a JPEG or
Oh, damn it, it's a JPEG, not a PNG.
It's 3 megabytes. We can't email this.
It's going to take me hours to download. We get a reveal that the king, Tar Palantir, Muriel's dad, is loyal to the elves, and this is why the Hall of Lore hasn't been burned to the ground. So then the Google image search comes back, and lo and behold, the symbol is actually a map of the Southlands, or what later becomes Mordor.
Yikes.
And apparently Morgoth had a contingency plan in the case of his death or demise, which is starting to sound a lot like the Emperor in Order 66 to me.
Yes.
Yeah. Execute Order 66. So Morgoth's plan basically was like, if I die, Sauron and the orcs should meet up in the Southlands and get super evil there and make Middle-earth great again. Then we're back with the Harfoots. And Nori is dead set on helping the stranger find the meaning of the constellation he was referring to with the fireflies that he murdered. Fireflies. Fireflies. I got stuck up on that.
Not again.
Not again, please God. But yes, she goes to steal a few pages from Sadok's.
Sadok's.
Yeah, Sadok's star book. And all the while they're having this sort of memorial service for all the Harfoots they left behind, and it's
so
actually
sad.
super effing sad. Oh my God.
Really brings into view what a rough life that is.
Treacherous. Yeah. And just like some of the most simple things, like even that they just it's hard for little people, you know.
Well, and that the hobbits weren't once the carefree people we come to know them as.
Right. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's progressed to this because this is how you survive, you know. They were much more adventuresome, and now they're much more. Yeah, that is an interesting take on it too. Yeah, because I don't think we've ever really at least as far as our knowledge has been, they've always been this.
Right.
But yeah, so we watch Poppy's, Nori's friend, her heartbreaking reaction to hearing her family's name being
whole
read.
Family.
Being killed in a landslide or something.
God.
Jeez. And her,
Really
her acting there, chef's kiss, very good.
I really
broke my heart.
I really like Poppy and Nori.
Yeah, they're really sweet. I'm surprised at how much I like them because I remember from we talked about this last time. Like, there was something about the advertisement. Like, I think I remember her peeking through a hole in a fence or something like that, and it just felt very like this is how SNL would make fun of the show. You know, there's something about it that felt like super cheesy and not right. But you can't help but like them. They're so freaking cute. The stranger stumbles into the sad party and finds his constellation map, and then then the fires all around him get bigger, and he accidentally starts to burn the constellation map. What a dummy. And then, stumbles around and reveals himself to the rest of the Harfoots for the first time and rats out Nori by calling her by name. Oopsies. So Sadok reprimands her and basically sends her and her family to the back of the caravan, which is better than total banishment, but Nori's...
bad news given her dad's current foot situation.
Oh, yeah, the foot situation. His condition is not great. So yeah, more or less, you might as well be sentenced to death at this point, because they're gonna fall behind, and it's ironic that they're saying is like no Harfoots left behind, but they will very easily
leave you behind.
That is
turns out.
Yeah, it turns out that's just a metaphorical leave behind. So then we get a father and son talk with Arendelle and Isildur. Isildur is acting a little bit like Luke Skywalker from A New Hope, at least because I just, hearing him talk about about how what do you call him? The derp derp derpity beep boop bap. He's like studying for this like ship test.
Yeah, he's 9 days away from his exam.
And he's like, I don't want to do it now. I want to do it next year.
I want to go to Tashi Station.
Get some kind of. I want to go to the stars. I want to be part of the rebellion. And then Arendelle's daughter apparently makes it into the Builders Guild. Good for her, y'all. And I'm curious, like, again, my wheels are turning because she's a new character, so we're trying to find out like why she's important. So Builders Guild, she's gonna like be helping build something or maybe design something. Perhaps the somehow their story gets wrapped up into Celebrimbor's story, and building the forge. Who knows? We'll see. Galadriel visits Halbrand in his cell because she's found out, apparently did another Google image search, that the symbol that he has on his coin purse, not that coin purse, the other coin purse, is that of the royal lineage. And he should be a king of the Southland. The king of the South! He seems to have run away from that past because it was his relatives that joined with Morgoth, and he doesn't want to F with that. Galadriel is now convinced that their meeting was not by chance, and that they are both destined for a redemption arc for their people. Which is interesting. Yeah, sure. Why not, right? I like that for the both of them. That is good enough for me. And I think that
I don't think all's well that ends well with Halbrand.
No. I don't think it can.
I don't think it can, and it's honestly because he has such close, at least as far as the movie representations go, he's got so many close ties to Aragorn in terms of personality and just demeanor and outlook on life, being super, when we find Aragorn, he's in self-imposed exile, and this guy is ashamed of his people's allegiance to Morgoth. And
I could see him becoming like maybe part of the Dunedain, like, the Rangers of the North or something like that. After the South becomes like too hot to handle, he moves up north, and like maybe he becomes friends with Isildur, and they like. I mean, but you're probably right. Or
perhaps he becomes corrupted. I mean, maybe he's destined to be corrupted.
Honestly. Like like his intentions are good, but like, and unfortunately, he was like listening to his heart and saying like, "Ooh, I probably shouldn't, be in the Southlands because I think that like, it's in my blood." And I think that I probably would fall, and he does eventually, which would be very tragic.
Well, if he becomes a Nazgul.
Yeah, that's very plausible.
I
mean, although he's got to become king. Yeah, he's got to become king first. Yeah, which is very, very, again, very plausible. Because we have, there needs to be like numerous kings. that end up becoming Nazgul, so he can
9
easily
of them.
be one of them.
Yeah.
So excuse me. Then we get Muriel informing her father about Galadriel's arrival to Numenor, and gives us a hint that it's apparently a big effing deal. Then we're back to the Harfoots, and we see them beginning their caravan, and Nori's family is struggling. And just when you think that they're super screwed, the stranger gets out of the back of the cart and starts pushing, and I'm thinking, like, no wonder they're having such a hard time. You're
He's
so
just sitting in there.
heavy, you lazy piece of shit. Get out of there and start pushing. What a dick. I loved that.
Come on, Gandalf.
Get out of there, Gandalf. Okay, so I'm really glad you brought that up. So, I mean, so because we didn't talk about that before. Like,
we talked in great detail last week on
who we think it is. So, like, are you pretty convinced that it's Gandalf? Because I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Look, and it could be a giant misdirect, but
well, yeah, because they're very. It feels like they are pushing us in that direction. Like, just with the all of the even the stuff that he accidentally like all the things that accidentally become clothing look like Gandalf's wizard robes.
Well, and the fact he's found by the Harfoots, and now he's helping him kind of shove their cart, and
the connection between Gandalf and
the natural affinity that is formed.
Yes, that all completely checks out. The only the major not checking out part is just the timing. And again, we are told that we are condensing time, and this the timing of the arrival of the wizards.
Right. I mean, they're all sent in response to
Sauron.
To Sauron.
And I know we're not at the end of the episode yet, but like I did kind of want to bring this up because I literally just this morning because I'm one of those stupid people. Guys, out there that are watching, don't do this. Like, the first thing you do when you wake up, your first thing should not be reaching for your phone and then swiping through TikTok. Don't do that. But I do that. One of the first videos that I saw was a theory video about the wizards, and specifically in the show. And when we see the comet flying across the sky, we happen to see 5 different shots of the comet going through the sky. And, they're all very well connected because the editing is great. But I think that the theorist is making the reach that each scene is actually 5 different comets.
5 different wizards.
Yeah,
I like that.
And that we're made to believe that it's just one, but we are just seeing one of the comets.
One of the wizards,
yeah. Which would be very interesting if we end up seeing all of them all fall. It might get a little too busy, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we've never seen the blue wizards.
That's my thing too, is that it would feel easier, at least canon wise, because there's barely any information about the blue wizards for them to make this one of the blue wizards. That being said, I don't know.
Last week I felt like it had to be one of the blue wizards, and this week I'm
not so sure.
I'm like Gandalf 100%.
Yeah.
I think it's like, let's not overthink it. I think it's just freaking Gandalf.
It's just freaking Gandalf. And you know what?
And just like the actor, like his blue eyes and everything. Like I don't know, something about it. And
yeah. I just
but that's an interesting theory though, with the 5 different shots.
I do like that. It does kind of like reminds me to, maybe sometimes not take everything so literally, but then again, it's also very like, especially in shows like this that are like literally rated for 14-year-olds, to not think that deep. Still would be a cool reveal. So yeah, we're I think we're more or less, it seems like we're leaning more towards Gandalf, but like wouldn't be surprised if it was another wizard.
Mm-hmm.
Although if it wasn't a wizard at all and it was something completely different, then we're like, what the hell even is this show?
Right.
It's a wizard.
Yeah.
It's a wizard.
It's a wizard. So then, final scene. We're back in the orc pit, and elves make a valiant effort to escape, and they're able to do a fair amount of damage in the process, but sadly, it's not enough. Adar is the only one of his elf buddies to make it out of the situation alive, and he gets brought to Adar. And then we get a very
blurry
douchey
shot.
teaser blurry vision shot
Yep.
Yes, of Adar's face for the first time, who is a brunette, long-haired brunette. Yeah, and then the episode's over. Harumph. I wanted to see his face. Damn it. I gotta wait a whole damn week.
Whole week.
Dang. But I will say that it doesn't look like anybody that we've met so far. I don't think. Unless it is, and maybe that's why it's blurry.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting twist.
Well, we
What's a
definitely
twist?
will see Adar next week.
Will we? I mean, I would certainly hope so. This is going to be episode 4. And
Episode 4.
Yeah, we're almost halfway. Wow. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I am curious how long it's going to take for our wizard friend to at least learn how to speak.
I was going to say speak more than 2 words. Friend and Nori.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it takes the whole season, I'm going to think, oh, man.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, because
I know.
they've got a lot of ground to cover if they're really going to go 5 seasons with this.
Right. True. I mean, literally 50 episodes. Yeah, and like what his arc could be, like yeah, I'm very, very curious. Yeah, I guess it could be they maybe there'll be it'll be 1 comet per season.
Right. Well,
just like, but that 1 wizard wasn't enough. Let's send another. All right, 5's enough. But yeah, I'm pretty thrilled so far. It's a very, very fun show. It gets me excited about each week. It's really the only thing that moves me forward in life.
And I love how it wasn't immediately apparent. It wasn't immediately apparent just because it's kind of buried in the credits, but I'm so glad they included What a Workshop again in the creation of the orcs.
Yeah,
and
totally.
All the armor, and it just looks so much better than the Hobbit movies did. I don't want to rag on the Hobbit, but
no, it's fine.
Again, like they're making things again.
Yes,
and it makes all the difference.
It does. It really does. It has depth. It has, it just like all the things, things reflecting light off of it, like just as simple as that. It makes it that much more real. They're more formidable, scary, and there's some apparently some familiar actors in there too.
There's one fellow who is in all of them.
Yeah,
wow.
He plays an orc. Actually made a note of it.
I would like to know how much of his life he spent in the makeup chair.
Oh my!
A guy named Jed Brophy.
Yeah. He was one of the He was also one of the hobbits too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a dwarf. He was
sorry, not one of the hobbits. In the Hobbit.
Yes.
As one of the dwarves.
And then he plays the orc named Wrath.
Yeah.
And look his name up. Who's that? What about them? They're fresh.
They're fresh.
That guy. Yeah.
That guy.
He's a great character actor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that would be great.
When this show wraps, I really need to know the exact amount of hours of his life that he spent in the makeup chair.
Truly.
Absolutely.
I need that.
What a great career though, man. I would kill for a career like that.
I would take it.
So cool. Like dope. Very dope. Like, there's like a handful of like super fan, not handful, a lot of super fans that know and love his name. But like, he's not like, he could still walk down the street and not be like mauled by people.
Sure.
What a great life. I love that. God. So where are we going next? Do we feel like they're gonna like? Do we feel like we're going to? I don't know if the forging of the rings is gonna happen quite yet, because
it's gonna take. It's gonna take.
I don't think we're there even this season.
Yeah, because I think that we don't have enough. We haven't met all the kings. We haven't met all the dwarves.
And Sauron has to seduce them. I mean,
right.
It's
exactly.
We're gonna see charming Sauron. So
totally. I mean, I guess if anything, they might make the elf rings first, because like those people all exist. The people who end up getting the,
in the actual timeline,
3 for the
in the timeline, which we know they're taking liberties with, but
liberty.
The rings begin. They begin forging the rings in 1500.
Oh, okay. So
the year
quite
1500.
Quite later.
So yeah.
Which would be like in the next episode.
and the 3 rings are completed in 1590.
Oh wow, okay.
And then 1 ring is 1600. So
isn't that crazy? That's like
we got
10 years later, and it probably will be like in the span of like an episode, maybe.
Episode this time, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yup.
That's so crazy. That's shit, you guys. Yeah.
Well, we're coming up on an hour and 15 minutes here, so we should probably.
We got.
Has it really been?
We got another 40 minutes.
Hour and 10. Yeah. Time. So,
flies.
final thoughts before we say goodbye.
You want to wrap this?
Wrap it up.
Yeah, I think it's really setting up the tragedy that and this is going way into the future, but the downfall of Numenor is going to be epic, because this place is so epic.
Yeah, what a shame. It's just like so sad, and the
you can see the arrogance and the easy prey for Sauron to mess with these people.
The loss of all that lore. Oh, so sad. Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be very, very cool. I can't wait to see what the depiction of that is like with the. I mean, this is spoiler alert, but they make a like, not a march because they have to go by boat, but they make the march to Valar. Like they're like, no, we're gonna take it by storm, and then the storm takes them.
Right.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see what that looks like, because it's gonna be epic. It's gonna be freaking cool. There's so much I'm looking forward to. I need to again curb my expectations, because I don't know how far they're gonna go, and like what is the show arc? Like where are they gonna end it? Are they gonna end it on a sad note? I can't imagine that they will.
Maybe it ends on the War of the Last Alliance. Maybe we cover that much ground.
That would be freaking cool if it was like the entire Second Age. Like, whoa. Well,
I would think so.
At least up until the end of the Second Age, that would be sick. That would be a very cathartic end for sure. And then showing Galadriel being like, "I'm at peace now, finally, thank God." Because really, I don't see her finding peace.
She doesn't find peace until not succumbing to the ring's power in Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
She's very troubled until
for sure. She just has. I think that she is. I mean, we discussed this on the last pod, but that like at least the way I see her character arc being, they've made her this like mighty,
warrior.
She elf.
Yeah, right. She Hulk elf.
She Hulk elf.
She Hulk elf. Because they want to see her, have at least some semblance of an arc, not just be the same character from this into The Hobbit, into The Lord of the Rings. They want to see her like actually have like a change. So she's gonna find at least some semblance of peace, to the point where she doesn't feel the need. She can like put down the armor, and just be a little more just sit on the sidelines and kind of like give her her knowledge.
Well, yeah, it's just in the same way like that, like, you know, Leia kind of goes from from different roles as she matures and grows in life.
So it'd be cool to see how that happens, and I assume we'll probably see that at least some semblance of that in this show. Sure,
indeed.
Well, crap, is that it?
Well, I think that's it for episode 3.
Ooh, wow.
Thanks for listening. This was part 3 of the Rings of Power breakdown.
And there are going to be more.
And there's going to be more. We'll be back next week for episode 4.
Oh my God, I can't wait. And if you're not following us on all the the Instagrams and the TikToks
on the YouTube, give us a like on the YouTube.
Yes, come and join us. It's at Inside the Tauntaun podcast. And also join the conversation. We want to know what you think, and and if we're getting things wrong, because I know we are.
Yeah, I mean in real time. I mean, I know we are. Yeah.
But hope to talk to you on the things.
Yes, this is Inside the Tauntaun, a podcast in the multiverse of fandom. I'm Alyssa Simmons.
And I'm Daniel Dawson.
And I'm Dino Nicandros.
May the force be with you.
Always.
See ya.
Inside the Tauntaun podcast, please like and subscribe.